Sometimes the people who hurt us most are the ones we share blood with. Sometimes closure doesn't come with apologies. It comes years later, in rooms where you thought you'd already buried the past. If you're drawn to stories about quiet reckonings, complicated families, and the moment you realize you survived something that almost broke you, you're in the right place. Subscribe now, because these stories aren't just about what was lost, they're about what we choose to keep. Marcus Reeves stood in the chapel doorway, rain sliding down his collar, and watched his brothers shake hands with their father's business partners. Owen had always known how to work a room, even at a funeral. 5 years. 5 years since Marcus had seen either of them, Owen or Elena. The last time had been different. Marcus had been the one stumbling through explanations, trying to make sense of text messages that weren't meant for his eyes. Now he wore a suit that fit properly and stood beside a woman who didn't flinch when his hand found hers. "You okay?" Naomi whispered. Marcus nodded. He was. The chapel smelled like lilies and old wood. His father would have hated the flowers. Too soft, he would have said. Too sentimental. But Owen had insisted, and Owen always got what he wanted. Until recently, anyway. Marcus caught his brother's eye across the room. Owen's face tightened. Then Elena appeared beside Owen, her hand on his arm, and Marcus felt nothing. That was new. For years, seeing her had been like touching a hot stove. Immediate, burning, impossible to ignore. Now it was just a fact. Elena existed. So did he. That was all. Marcus. His mother materialized in front of him, smaller than he remembered. Grief had a way of shrinking people. "You came." "Of course I came." She touched his face. Her fingers were cold. "You look good. Healthy." "I am." "And this is?" "Naomi-chan. She teaches 4th grade. His mother's eyes warmed. "A teacher. Like you." "Still teaching," Marcus confirmed. "Central High. Same classroom." His mother glanced at Owen across the room, then back at Marcus. Something passed through her expression, regret, maybe, or recognition. "Your father," he said things. Before he died. About choices. About which son understood what mattered. Marcus didn't ask what his father had said. It didn't matter anymore. The service was short. Owen delivered the eulogy. He talked about their father's business acumen, his drive, his refusal to accept mediocrity. He didn't mention the man who had taught Marcus to fish, or the one who had fallen asleep during Marcus's college graduation. Owen had always seen a different father than Marcus had. Or maybe their father had been different men to different sons. Afterward, people gathered in the reception hall. Caterers circulated with trays of food nobody ate. Marcus found a corner and watched Owen move through the crowd, Elena trailing him like a shadow. She looked thinner than Marcus remembered. Sharper. Her dress probably cost more than Marcus made in a month, but it hung wrong on her frame, like she'd lost weight and hadn't noticed. "How long has it been?" Greg appeared beside him, holding 2 glasses of something amber. He handed one to Marcus. 5 years. Almost 6. "You feel anything?" Marcus considered. Relief, mostly. That it's not my life. Greg had been there for the worst of it. The weeks after Elena left when Marcus couldn't get out of bed. The night Marcus had shown up at Greg's apartment at 3 in the morning, because being alone felt like drowning. Greg had made coffee and let Marcus sit in silence until dawn. "You built something good," Greg said. "Despite all of it. We built something good." "Yeah, but you were the one who kept teaching." "That took guts." Marcus shrugged. When the acquisition money hit his account, $8.2 million split between him and Greg, Marcus's first instinct had been to quit. Walk away from the chalkboard and the lesson plans and the students who still forgot to put their names on assignments. But then he'd thought about Lily Martinez, the girl who had stayed after class that terrible week and asked if he was okay. He'd thought about the way history came alive when you told it right, when you made dead people into real ones with hopes and fears and bad decisions. Money could buy a lot of things. It couldn't buy the look on a student's face when they finally understood why the past mattered. "Marcus." The voice came from behind him. He didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Elena stood 2 feet away, champagne trembling in her hand. Up close, she looked worse. Tired. There were lines around her eyes that hadn't been there before, and her smile didn't reach them. "Hi," she said. "Elena, you look good. Different." Marcus waited. She seemed to expect something more from him. An invitation to continue, maybe, or a question about her life. He gave her neither. I heard about your app, she tried again. That's amazing. Really? Thanks. Owen said you sold it for a lot. We did okay. Her fingers tightened on the glass. I'm happy for you. I mean that. Marcus believed her. That was the strange part. He thought she probably did mean it, in the same way someone might be happy for an ex who moved on and found success elsewhere. It just didn't matter anymore. How's Owen? He asked because it seemed like the thing to say. Elena's face did something complicated. We're good. Busy. You know how he is. Marcus didn't, actually. He'd stopped knowing how Owen was the night he'd found those messages. His brother had become a stranger then, someone Marcus had thought he understood, but never really had. I should. Elena gestured vaguely toward the crowd. It was good seeing you. She left. Marcus watched her go, watched her find Owen and whisper something in his ear. Owen's eyes found Marcus across the room. His brother raised his glass in a mock toast, smiling in a way that didn't reach his eyes either. Naomi returned with a plate of untouched hors d'oeuvres. That looked fun. It wasn't anything. Your ex-fiancée shaking like a leaf while trying to make small talk isn't anything? Marcus smiled despite himself. When you put it that way. What did she want? I don't think she knew. They stayed another hour because it seemed disrespectful not to. Marcus shook hands with people he barely remembered, accepted condolences, made appropriate noises about loss and memory. His mother hugged him goodbye and held on longer than necessary. Don't be a stranger, she said. Please. I won't. In the parking lot, Marcus paused beside his car. The rain had stopped, leaving everything slick and gleaming. Naomi waited, patient as always, not pushing. You want to know something strange? Marcus said. Always. I thought seeing them would hurt more. I thought there'd be something left. Anger, maybe. Or satisfaction that things fell apart for them. And nothing. It's just nothing. Naomi kissed his cheek. That's called healing. They drove back to the city in comfortable silence. Marcus watched the landscape blur past. Trees and hills and small towns that looked the same in the dark. Somewhere in the distance, lightning flickered without sound. The storm was moving away from them. His phone buzzed. A text from Owen. We should talk. Coffee tomorrow. Marcus deleted it without responding. At home, their apartment was dark and quiet. Naomi made tea while Marcus changed out of his suit. The jacket went back in the closet, next to the others he rarely wore. He preferred sweaters and khakis, the uniform of teachers everywhere. Do you regret it? Naomi asked when he returned to the kitchen. She was curled up on the couch, steam rising from her mug. Loving her? Marcus sat beside her. The question deserved honesty. I regret not seeing what she was. Which was? Someone who needed a different story than mine. Naomi was quiet for a moment. Then, and what story do you need? Marcus thought about his classroom. About the scholarship fund he'd started, anonymous, because he didn't need credit, that sent 3 kids from low-income families to teaching programs every year. About the app that made history feel alive for students who thought the past was boring. About mornings like this one, sitting beside someone who asked real questions and waited for real answers. This one, he said. The one I'm in. She kissed him then, soft and unhurried, and Marcus realized that Elena had gotten it backward. She'd thought success meant leaving things behind. The small apartment, the modest salary, the life that didn't look impressive from the outside. But real success was building something that mattered, with people who mattered, and not apologizing for what it looked like to anyone else. His phone buzzed again. Another text from Owen. Please. It's important. Marcus turned the phone face down. Whatever Owen needed, it could wait. It had waited 5 years already. It could wait a little longer. Outside, the storm had passed completely. The city lights reflected off wet pavement, turning everything golden. Marcus pulled Naomi closer and listened to her breathe. This was enough. This had always been enough. He just needed to lose everything to understand it. What do you think happens next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. The next morning, Marcus woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Naomi moving through the apartment. Saturday. No lesson plans to write, no essays to grade. Just time. He found her in the kitchen, laptop open, papers spread across the table. She looked up when he entered. Your brother called, she said. Marcus poured coffee. When? 20 minutes ago. I didn't answer. Good. He left a voicemail. Marcus sat down. The coffee was hot and black, the way he liked it. Through the window, The city was waking up, joggers on the sidewalk, cars at the intersection, a dog barking somewhere close. You should listen to it, Naomi said. Why? Because ignoring it won't make it go away. She was right. She usually was. Marcus pulled out his phone and hit play. Owen's voice filled the kitchen. Marcus, I know you don't want to talk to me. I get it. But this isn't about the past. It's about Mom. She's not doing well. The grief, it's look, just call me back. Please. The message ended. Marcus set the phone down. Your mom seemed okay yesterday, Naomi said carefully. She did. You think he's lying? Marcus didn't know. Owen had always been good at using the truth to get what he wanted. Their mother was grieving. That part was real. Whether she needed Marcus specifically, or whether Owen needed something and was using their mother as leverage, that was harder to say. I'll call him, Marcus said. Later. Naomi nodded and went back to her work. She was writing curriculum for a unit on the civil rights movement. Marcus watched her make notes in the margins, cross things out, start over. This was what he loved about teaching. The constant revision, the search for better ways to make students care about things that happened before they were born. His phone rang. Owen again. Marcus answered. What do you want? Marcus. Owen sounded surprised, like he hadn't expected Marcus to pick up. Thanks for calling back. I didn't call back. You called me. Right. Listen, can we meet? There's something I need to talk to you about. So talk. Not on the phone. In person. Marcus closed his eyes. This was Owen's pattern. Create urgency, demand presence, control the terms of engagement. It had worked when they were kids. It had worked when Owen had stolen Elena. It wouldn't work now. I'm not meeting you, Marcus said. Whatever you need to say it now. Silence on the other end. Then, it's about Elena. I don't care about Elena. She's leaving me. Marcus felt nothing. That should have meant something, vindication maybe or satisfaction, but it was just information. Elena was leaving Owen. The sky was blue. Water was wet. I'm sorry, Marcus said, because it seemed like the thing to say. Are you? Owen's voice had an edge now. Are you really? What do you want from me, Owen? I want to know if you're happy. If destroying my marriage makes you feel better about what happened. Marcus laughed. He couldn't help it. You think I destroyed your marriage? She's been different ever since the funeral. Seeing you with that woman, seeing you successful and moved on, it changed something. That's not my problem. Isn't it? You always had to be the good one, didn't you? The teacher, the helper, the one who cared about making a difference. And where did it get you? Nowhere. Until you got lucky with some stupid app. There it was. The real Owen. The one who couldn't stand the idea that Marcus had built something without his help or approval. The one who had spent their entire childhood competing, even when Marcus hadn't realized they were in a race. I need to go, Marcus said. Wait. Just wait. I'm sorry. That was out of line. Marcus waited. Look, Owen continued, his voice softer now. I know I messed up. With Elena. With you. With everything. But she's leaving and I don't know how to fix it, and I thought maybe you could. Could what? Tell you how to keep her. Tell me how you let her go. The question caught Marcus off guard. He thought about those first months after Elena left. The weight of it. The way grief felt like carrying stones. The morning he'd woken up and realized he could choose. Keep carrying the weight or set it down. Therapy, Marcus said. And time. And accepting that some things can't be fixed. That's it. That's it. Owen was quiet for a long moment. Did you ever love her? Really love her? Yes. Do you hate me? Marcus considered. No. I don't feel much of anything about you anymore. That seemed to hurt Owen more than anger would have. Marcus could hear it in the silence that followed, in the way his brother's breathing changed. I should go, Marcus said again. The app, Owen said suddenly. History Quest. That's what you called it. Yeah, Dad saw an article about it. Before he died. He didn't say anything, but I saw him reading it. 3 times. Marcus didn't know what to do with that information. His father had never acknowledged the app, never called to congratulate him, never mentioned it at all. But he'd read about it. 3 times. Thanks for telling me, Marcus said. Marcus. He hung up. Naomi looked up from her laptop. How'd it go? Elena's leaving him. How do you feel about that? Like it's not my business. She smiled. Good answer. Marcus closed the app without deciding anything. Some questions couldn't be answered at 11 o'clock on a Friday night. Some questions needed time. He went to bed. Naomi curled against him, already half asleep. "I love you," she mumbled. "I love you too." Outside, the city continued. Somewhere, Owen was probably staring at his own ceiling, wondering if his brother would save him. Somewhere, Elena was packing boxes, ready to move on to whatever came next. Somewhere, their mother was grieving a husband and hoping her sons would find their way back to each other. But here, in this bedroom, in this life Marcus had built from broken pieces, everything was still. Saturday morning arrived with pale sunlight and the sound of garbage trucks on the street below. Marcus woke before Naomi, slipped out of bed, and went for a run. The air was cold enough to see his breath, and his legs felt heavy for the first mile. But then his body found its rhythm, and his mind cleared. He thought about Owen while he ran, about the night 7 years ago when everything had shattered. Marcus had been grading papers when Elena's phone had buzzed on the coffee table. She was in the shower. He hadn't meant to look. He wasn't that kind of person, didn't snoop or check messages. But the screen had lit up with a preview. "Can't wait to taste you again." From Owen. Marcus had stood there, paper still in his hand, red pen frozen mid-correction. He'd read the message 3 times. 4. Trying to make it mean something other than what it obviously meant. Then he'd unlocked her phone. She'd never changed the passcode from his birthday, which made it worse somehow, and read backwards through months of messages. The affair had been going on for 4 months. 4 months of late meetings and business trips, and Elena coming home smelling like someone else's cologne. For months of lying to his face while planning a wedding. For months while Marcus had been looking at venues and choosing flowers and believing in a future that had already ended. He'd confronted her when she got out of the shower. She hadn't denied it, hadn't apologized at first either. Just stood there dripping on the bathroom mat and said, "I didn't mean for you to find out like this." "How did you mean for me to find out?" "I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I wanted you to catch us." "Why? Why him?" Elena had wrapped the towel tighter around herself. "Because he sees me. Because he wants more than this." She gestured at their apartment, small, cluttered with books and student papers, nothing fancy. "Because I can't do this for the rest of my life, Marcus. I can't be poor and noble and pretend it's enough. I never asked you to be poor. You chose it. Every day you walk into that classroom instead of doing something that actually pays. You chose this life. I didn't." That was the moment Marcus had understood. Elena hadn't fallen in love with Owen. She'd fallen out of love with limitation. Owen was just the exit door. "Does he love you?" Marcus had asked. Elena's face had done something complicated. "He wants me." "That's not the same thing." "It's close enough." She'd moved out that week. 2 months later, Marcus had received a wedding invitation. Elena and Owen, getting married at the Four Seasons. Marcus had torn it up and thrown it away, then spent the rest of the night on his bathroom floor, unable to stop shaking. His therapist had told him later that what he'd experienced was a kind of death. The death of the future he'd imagined, the death of trust, the death of the person he'd thought Elena was. Grief was grief, whether someone died or just became a stranger. Marcus ran faster, pushing until his lungs burned. By the time he got home, he'd run 8 miles instead of his usual 5. Naomi was in the kitchen making eggs. "Feel better?" she asked. "Getting there." They ate breakfast in comfortable silence. Naomi had student work spread across half the table. Drawings from her 4th graders, stories about what they wanted to be when they grew up. One girl had written that she wanted to be a teacher like Ms. Chun, because Ms. Chun made learning feel like magic. "You should frame that," Marcus said, pointing at the story. Naomi smiled. She spelled half the words wrong. "Frame it anyway." After breakfast, Marcus called his mother. She answered on the 3rd ring, sounding tired. "Marcus, how are you?" "I'm good, Mom. How are you doing?" A pause. "Some days are harder than others. The house is so quiet now. Have you thought about what you want to do? Staying there by yourself?" "I'm not selling the house." Her voice went sharp. "This is my home. I wasn't suggesting. Owen keeps bringing it up, saying I should downsize, move into a condo. But this is where I raised you boys. Where your father—" Her voice broke. "I'm not ready to leave yet." Marcus heard what she wasn't saying. The house was full of ghosts, but they were her ghosts. Leaving would mean accepting that part of her life was over. "You don't have to decide anything right now," he said gently. "Owen's struggling," his mother said. "I'm worried about him." "I know. He came by yesterday. He looked, Marcus, I've never seen him like that. So lost. Marcus didn't tell her about the meeting, about Owen asking for money. That was between him and his brother. He made his choices, Mom. So did you. And you both paid for them. She sighed. I'm not asking you to forget what happened. I'm just asking you to remember he's your brother. You're all each other has left. After they hung up, Marcus sat staring at his phone. All each other has left. As if 7 years of silence and betrayal could be erased because their father had died and Owen's business was failing. As if family was supposed to mean something automatic, something that superseded hurt. But maybe his mother was right. Maybe holding on to anger was just another way of staying stuck in the past. I'm going to help him, Marcus said out loud. Naomi looked up from her grating. You sure? No, but I think it's what I need to do. For him or for you? Both maybe. I don't want to be the person who turns his back when someone's drowning, even if that person destroyed my life once. Naomi came over and wrapped her arms around him from behind. You're a good man, Marcus Reeves. I'm a stupid man. Those things aren't mutually exclusive. If you think Marcus is making the right choice, hit that like button. And if you disagree, tell us why in the comments. We read every single one. Marcus texted Owen. I'll give you 50,000. That's it. No more after this. Owen's response came immediately. Thank you. I don't know what to say. Thank you. Marcus typed. Use it to close things down properly. Not to keep something alive that's already dead. I will. I promise. Marcus wasn't sure he believed that, but he'd done his part. The rest was up to Owen. Monday morning, Marcus stood in front of his AP history class and wrote on the board. What do we owe the people who hurt us? The students settled in, reading the question, shifting in their seats. This week we're talking about Reconstruction, Marcus said. The period after the Civil War, when the country had to figure out how to move forward. The North and South had to find a way to be one country again, even after 4 years of killing each other. So here's my question. What did they owe each other? A student in the back, Sarah Kim, brilliant but quiet, raised her hand. Nothing. The South lost. They didn't get to make demands. Okay. Anyone disagree? Tyler Chin spoke up. But they had to live together afterward. You can't just ignore half the country. Even if they were wrong, even if they fought for slavery, you still had to figure out how to move forward. So what does moving forward look like? Marcus asked. Does it mean forgetting, forgiving, punishing? The class debated for 40 minutes. Marcus guided them through the various Reconstruction plans, through the compromises and failures, through the way the country had chosen reunification over justice and paid the price for generations. Here's what I want you to think about, Marcus said as the bell rang. Reconstruction failed because nobody could agree on what healing looked like. The North wanted punishment. The South wanted to pretend nothing had changed. The freed slaves wanted actual freedom and got Jim Crow instead. Everyone had competing ideas of what justice meant. The students filed out, still arguing. Lily hung back again. That question on the board, she said. That's not really about Reconstruction, is it? Marcus smiled. What makes you say that? Because you've been thinking about something all week. I can tell. You get this look. What look? Like you're working through a problem that doesn't have a right answer. Smart kid. Too smart sometimes. Maybe, Marcus admitted. Maybe I'm trying to figure out what I owe someone who hurt me a long time ago. And what did you decide? That I owe it to myself to try. Not for them. For me. So I don't become someone who can't extend grace even when it's hard. Lily nodded slowly. My dad came back last year. After he left. He wanted to be in my life again. What did you do? I let him try. Not all at once. But I gave him a chance to show me he'd changed. He's still not great at it. Still forgets sometimes. But he's trying. And I think that matters. Does it feel worth it? Some days. Other days I wish I'd just stayed angry. Anger's easier than hope. Marcus thought about that for the rest of the day. Anger's easier than hope. That was the truth of it. Staying bitter required nothing. No risk, no vulnerability, no chance of being disappointed again. Hope meant opening yourself up to hurt. Hope meant believing people could change, even when history suggested they wouldn't. That evening, Marcus met Greg at their usual bar. It was quiet for a Monday. Just a few regulars and a bartender wiping down glasses. You gave him the money, Greg said. It wasn't a question. How'd you know? Because you've been checking your phone every 5 minutes all day. And because you're you. Marcus ordered a beer. Think I made a mistake? Probably. But it's your mistake to make. That's not reassuring. Greg shrugged. You want reassurance or you want honesty? Both. Can't have both. Owen's a grown man who made terrible choices. You giving him money might help him get back on his feet. Or it might just delay the reckoning he needs to have with himself. Either way, it's not on you. Feels like it's on me. That's because you're the kind of person who takes responsibility for things that aren't your fault. It's what makes you a good teacher. It's also what makes you exhausting to watch sometimes. Marcus laughed despite himself. Thanks. Seriously though, how are you doing with all this? Seeing him again, Elena leaving him, your dad dying. That's a lot. Marcus thought about it. I'm okay. Better than I thought I'd be. I think enough time has passed that it doesn't have the same power anymore. But part of me is waiting for the other shoe to drop. For Owen to do something that reminds me why I cut him out in the first place. He probably will. Yeah, and when he does, you'll deal with it. You're good at that now. They drank in silence for a while. The TV above the bar played a basketball game neither of them cared about. Someone fed the jukebox, and old country music filled the space. You ever think about what your life would look like if Elena hadn't left? Greg asked. Sometimes. Usually when I'm trying to fall asleep and my brain wants to torture me. And I think I'd be miserable. Teaching a job I loved, but coming home to someone who resented me for it. Maybe we'd have kids by now. Maybe I'd have quit teaching to make her happy. Maybe I'd be Owen, successful on paper and hollow underneath. So in a way, she did you a favor. Marcus considered that. Yeah, a really painful favor. But yeah. His phone buzzed. A text from Owen. Money went through. Meeting with creditors tomorrow. I won't forget this. Marcus didn't respond. He pocketed his phone and ordered another beer. When he got home, Naomi was already asleep. Marcus undressed quietly and slipped into bed beside her. She stirred, reached for him without waking fully, and settled against his chest. This, Marcus thought. This was what mattered. Not the money he'd given Owen or the history he couldn't change, or the approval he'd never gotten from his father. Just this. The weight of someone who loved him, the rhythm of her breathing, the ordinary miracle of another day survived. Outside, a car alarm went off. Someone shouted. The city never really slept. But inside, everything was still. 3 weeks passed. Marcus didn't hear from Owen, which felt like a good sign. No news meant no crisis. No crisis meant Owen was handling things on his own. That's what Marcus told himself anyway. The scholarship fund he'd started sent out acceptance letters. 3 students from low-income backgrounds would get full rides to teaching programs. Tuition, books, living expenses, everything covered. Marcus read their applications in his office after school, and each one reminded him why he'd stayed. One girl from South Boston wrote about her 3rd-grade teacher who'd noticed she wasn't eating lunch. Turned out her mother worked 2 jobs, and sometimes there wasn't enough food. The teacher had quietly started packing extra sandwiches. Never made it obvious. Never embarrassed her. She saw me when I felt invisible. The application read. I want to do that for someone else. Marcus approved all 3 applications and added a 4th on his own dime. You're going to bankrupt yourself helping people, Naomi said when he told her. I've got 8 million reasons to think I'll be fine. 4 million after taxes and splitting with Greg. Still fine. She kissed him. Your generosity is very sexy. Just my generosity? I'll let you know after you take out the trash. Life continued its normal rhythm. Marcus taught. Naomi taught. They had dinner with friends, went to movies, argued about whose turn it was to clean the bathroom. The extraordinary had become ordinary, and Marcus had never been more grateful. Then his mother called. Marcus, I need you to come over. Both of you. There's something we need to discuss. Is everything okay? Just come. Saturday afternoon. 2:00. She hung up before he could ask more questions. Saturday arrived cold and overcast. Marcus and Naomi drove to his childhood home in his mother's old neighborhood. Tree-lined streets, houses that had seen better days, the kind of working-class respectability his parents had fought hard to maintain. His mother answered the door looking smaller than ever. She'd lost weight since the funeral. Her clothes hung loose, and there were new lines around her mouth. Comin. Owen's already here. Marcus's stomach tightened. Whatever this was, it involved both sons. That was never good. Owen sat in the living room, coffee mug in hand. He looked better than he had at Morton's, color back in his face, the desperate edge gone from his eyes. He stood when Marcus entered. "Marcus." "Naomi. Thanks for coming." Marcus nodded but didn't speak. Naomi squeezed his hand. His mother sat in his father's old chair. "I've made a decision about the house. About everything." "Mom, you don't have to. Let me finish." She folded her hands in her lap, the way she always did when she had something difficult to say. "I'm selling. Not because I want to. Because I can't afford to keep it. Your father had debts I didn't know about. Medical bills from the last year. A second mortgage he took out when Owen's company needed capital." Marcus looked at Owen. His brother's jaw was tight, eyes fixed on the floor. "I didn't know," Owen said quietly. "He never told me he did that. He did a lot of things he never told anyone." Their mother continued. "The point is, I need to sell. The house, most of the furniture, everything. I'm moving into a smaller place. 1 bedroom. Manageable." "Where?" Marcus asked. "There's an assisted living community near the lake. It's nice. They have activities, meals provided. It's what I need now." Marcus felt something crack in his chest. His mother was 68. Too young for assisted living. But maybe that's what grief did. Aged you forward. Made you need help before you thought you would. "I'll help with the cost," Marcus said immediately. "Whatever you need." "Me too," Owen added. "Once I get back on my feet." "No." Their mother's voice was firm. "No more help from either of you. I've watched you two dance around each other for weeks. I've watched Owen destroy himself and Marcus try to save him. I'm done watching my sons hurt each other." "We're not," Marcus started. "Yes, you are. You're still hurting each other. Owen by asking for money. Marcus by giving it and resenting it. Both of you pretending 7 years didn't happen because it's easier than dealing with it." The room went silent. Even Naomi seemed to hold her breath. "Here's what's going to happen," their mother continued. "I'm selling the house. I'm moving. And you two are going to figure out if you're brothers or just strangers who happen to share blood. Because I won't spend what's left of my life watching you avoid each other at holidays and make awkward small talk when you have to be in the same room." "What do you want us to do?" Owen asked. "I want you to talk. Really talk. Not about money or business or the past. About now. About who you are now and whether there's anything left worth saving." She stood. "I'm going to make more coffee. You two stay here. Don't leave until you've had a real conversation." She left. Marcus heard her in the kitchen, the familiar sounds of cabinets opening, water running. Naomi squeezed his hand once more and followed his mother out. Marcus and Owen sat in the living room where they'd grown up. The same couch where they'd watched cartoons as kids. The same coffee table where they'd done homework. The same window where their father used to stand, looking out at the street, disappointed in one son or the other. "She's right," Owen said finally. "We've been pretending. Yeah, I was wrong. About Elena. About competing with you. About everything." Marcus waited. "I spent my whole life trying to prove I was better than you," Owen continued. "Smarter, more successful, more ambitious. And it was all bullshit. You were happy teaching. You had something real with Elena before I ruined it. You had a life that meant something. And I couldn't stand it because mine felt empty even when it looked full. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of lying. To you. To myself. I took Elena because I could. Because it made me feel powerful. And I've regretted it every single day since. But you married her." "Yeah. And I spent 5 years in a marriage where both of us knew she'd rather be with you. She never said it. Didn't have to. I could see it every time someone mentioned your name, every time we drove past your school, every time she heard you'd done something good. I had her, but I never really had her." Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. Not forgiveness exactly, but understanding maybe. "The money I gave you, I used it exactly how you said. Paid creditors, closed things down properly. I'm starting over. Got a job with a consulting firm. Entry level. The pay's shit compared to what I used to make, but it's honest work. Good. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even know if I forgive myself. But I needed you to know I'm trying to be better. Not for you. For me." Marcus looked at his brother. Really looked at him. Owen had been 32 when he'd stolen Elena. Young enough to still think winning was everything, old enough to know better. Now he was 39, worn down by consequences, maybe finally learning what mattered. "I don't know if we can be brothers again," Marcus said honestly. "Too much happened. Too much broke. I know, but maybe we can be something. Not enemies. Not strangers. Something in between. Owen's eyes went bright. I'd take that. They sat in silence. Not comfortable, but not hostile either. Just two men in a living room, trying to figure out how to move forward. What would you do? Could you forgive a sibling who betrayed you like this? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this one. Their mother and Naomi returned with coffee. They all sat together, talking about the house, about memories, about the weird way life worked out. Marcus told stories about teaching. Owen talked about his new job. Their mother laughed for the first time in weeks. When it was time to leave, Owen walked Marcus and Naomi to the door. Thank you, Owen said. For the money. For today. For not telling me to go to hell. I thought about it. I know. That's what makes it mean something. Marcus extended his hand. Owen shook it. Not a hug, not yet. But contact. A beginning, maybe. In the car, Naomi was quiet for the first few miles. Then, how do you feel? Lighter. Tired. I don't know. Think you'll stay in touch with him? Maybe. Small doses. I'm not ready for family dinners and holiday gatherings. But maybe coffee sometimes. Updates on mom. That kind of thing. That sounds healthy. Does it? You're not forcing reconciliation. You're leaving room for it if it happens naturally. That's the most anyone can do. Marcus drove through the city as afternoon turned to evening. The sun broke through clouds for the first time all day, turning everything golden. Next to him, Naomi hummed along to the radio. Behind them, his childhood home waited for new owners, new memories, new chances. His phone buzzed. A text from Lily. Mr. Reeves, I got into the teaching program at State. Full scholarship. Is that because of you? Marcus typed back. That's because of you. You earned it. Congratulations. Thank you for everything. You changed my life. Marcus put the phone away before he could get emotional. Changed her life. That's what teaching was. Hundreds of small moments that added up to something larger than yourself. No one would write articles about it. No one would celebrate it at business conferences. But a girl who might have given up would become a teacher who would help other kids not give up. The chain continued. Good news? Naomi asked. The best news. That night, Marcus couldn't sleep. He got up and went to the window. The city stretched out below. Millions of people, millions of stories, millions of chances to hurt or heal or just keep existing. Somewhere out there, Owen was probably awake too, thinking about the same conversation, wondering if redemption was possible. Marcus didn't know the answer. Maybe there wasn't one. Maybe he just kept trying and hoped it was enough. He thought about Elena, really let himself think about her for the first time in years. Did he still love her? No. Did he hate her? No. She was just someone he used to know, someone who had wanted different things than he did. She'd made her choices. He'd made his. Both of them had paid prices. But Marcus had built something from the wreckage. A career that mattered. A relationship based on truth. A life that felt solid underneath him. Elena had probably built something too. Just somewhere else, with someone else, in a story Marcus was no longer part of. And that was okay. Naomi appeared beside him, wrapped in a blanket. Come back to bed. Can't sleep. Then don't sleep. Just come be awake next to me. They lay in bed, not talking, just breathing. Outside, the city hummed. Inside, everything was still. Marcus thought about his father reading that article 3 times. About the words his father had never said, but maybe felt anyway. About how love sometimes looked like silence, and sometimes looked like absence, and sometimes you never got to know which one it was. But it didn't matter anymore. Marcus had stopped waiting for validation that wasn't coming. He built his own version of success, measured not in dollars or accolades, but in students who felt seen, in scholarships that changed lives, in small kindnesses that rippled outward. I'm happy, he said out loud, surprised by how true it was. Naomi pulled him closer. I know. How do you know? Because you stopped apologizing for it. Marcus smiled in the dark. She was right. For years after Elena left, he'd felt guilty whenever he laughed, like joy was a betrayal of the pain he'd survived. But somewhere along the way, he'd given himself permission to be happy again, to build something new without dragging the old wounds along for the ride. Monday morning, Marcus wrote on the board. What does it mean to win? His students filed in, groaning at the early hour, clutching coffee and energy drinks. American Dream Unit, Marcus announced. We're going to spend the next 3 weeks talking about success. What it looks like, what it costs, who gets to define it. A student raised her hand. Is this about capitalism? It's about everything. Capitalism, yes. But also family, relationships, personal values. The big question. Which is? What are you willing to sacrifice to get what you want? And when you get it, will it be what you actually needed? The class settled into the kind of debate Marcus loved, messy, complicated, no easy answers. Some students argued success meant financial security. Others said impact. One kid said it was just being happy with your choices, whatever they were. Marcus let them talk, guiding without controlling, letting them find their own answers. After class, he checked his phone. A message from Owen. Coffee this week? No agenda. Just checking in. Marcus hesitated, then typed, Thursday. Morton's. 4 p.m. It felt right. Small steps. No expectations. Just two brothers trying to figure out what came next. The week passed in its usual rhythm. Tests and homework and parent-teacher conferences. Marcus met with the mother of a student who was failing, helped her understand her son wasn't lazy, just struggling with undiagnosed ADHD. Together they worked out a plan. Resources. Accommodations. Support. This was the work. Not dramatic. Not glamorous. Just showing up, seeing people, helping them find their way. Thursday arrived. Marcus walked into Morton's and found Owen already there. 2 coffees on the table. I ordered for you. Black, no sugar. Unless that changed. It didn't. They sat. The silence wasn't comfortable, but it wasn't hostile either. How's the job? Marcus asked. Humbling. I'm learning a lot about how little I actually knew. Owen smiled, self-deprecating. Turns out being the boss lets you hide a lot of incompetence. And Mom, I visited her new place yesterday. It's actually nice. She seems lighter, like selling the house lifted something. Good. They talked for an hour. Surface things mostly, work, weather, a documentary Owen had watched. Nothing deep, but it was something. A foundation, maybe, for whatever came next. When Marcus got home, Naomi was cooking dinner. The apartment smelled like garlic and tomatoes. How was it? She asked. Fine. Not terrible. Not amazing. Just fine. That's progress. Is it? You're not avoiding him. You're not pretending the past didn't happen. You're just existing in the present together. That's about as good as it gets with broken relationships. Marcus set the table while Naomi finished cooking. They ate and talked about their days, normal things, boring things, the things that made up a life. Later, lying in bed, Marcus thought about that first night after he'd found the messages. How destroyed he'd been. How certain he'd never feel okay again. If someone had told him then that 7 years later he'd be here, successful, happy, at peace, he wouldn't have believed them. But here he was. The city hummed outside. Tomorrow he'd teach. Tomorrow Owen would work his entry-level job. Tomorrow Elena would be somewhere else, with someone else, chasing whatever it was she thought she needed. And Marcus would wake up next to Naomi, drink coffee, go to work that mattered, and build a life worth living. That's what winning looked like. Not revenge. Not vindication. Not even forgiveness. Just choosing every day to build something real, with people who valued the same things, and not apologizing for the fact that it didn't look like anyone else's version of success. Marcus closed his eyes. For the first time in 7 years, he slept without dreaming of what he'd lost. He dreamed instead of what he'd found. Marcus's story proves that real success isn't about revenge or proving people wrong. It's about building a life that matters to you. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more powerful narratives about resilience, redemption, and finding your own path. Drop a comment below. What does success mean to you? We read every single response. And if someone in your life needs to hear this message today, share this video with them. Sometimes the best gift we can give is reminding someone that their story isn't over. It's just beginning in a different way. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.